Hello, my name is Andrei. I'm here with Alain Cardon, Master Coach of International Coach Federation. So this time my question is about questions. More precisely, let's talk about powerful questions.
Okay, one of the things about powerful questions, first to say, is all questions can be powerful, and the best indicator is if the client can answer any question right away, it's not necessarily powerful because the client is just going through information they know. If following any coach intervention, the client suddenly is silent and thinking and doesn't answer right away, then probably what the coach just said was powerful. So it could be just repeating a single word or reformulating or doing something else. So that's one of the indicators of powerful questions too, is a question that the client cannot answer simply. They first have to search. So coming back to what are powerful questions, I think there's a lot of categories of powerful questions. And it's interesting to think in terms of categories because then you can expand in the category rather than just have a list. But one category for me, which I think is an important category, is what I call hypothetical questions, where the coach will first set a hypothesis and invite the client to adopt that hypothesis, and then after the client has answered in the hypothesis, we'll say, okay, what can you do considering what you just said? So to give an example, I could say if in this situation you were your 20-year-old self, how would you perceive the situation? And I would let you expand on it, and I could ask questions depending on, to help you expand on how your 20-year-old self would perceive your actual situation. Then once you've really been there and inhabit this perception, I could say, okay, considering all this potential, what could you do today? So it's a two-time question. One is first adopt the hypothesis, go there, inhabit it, and then come back to today. What can you do differently considering everything you just said? So that's the category. It's set a hypothesis, invite the client to go there, and then say, what can you do with this perception? So from there on, we could say, for instance, a perfect situation. A perfect question is a hypothetical question. I could say, if the situation was perfectly solved, what would be a perfect outcome for you? And I'd invite you to go into this description of the perfect outcome. Say, wow. Once you've done it and really been there, I can ask you more questions. Who's there? Where is it? What's in your environment? Who is not there anymore? In other words, help you really describe the picture of the perfect situation. Once you've done there, and I feel that you really are there, I could say, okay, you know exactly what you want. It's great. What can you do tomorrow to start going in that direction? Then I can move to the action plan, and we're back here today. So if you had a magic wand, how would you poof the situation into becoming completely different? It's close to making it perfect. I could say, if you were after this meeting, for instance, you want to prepare a meeting, I could say, suppose you came out of the meeting and you were totally satisfied. Everybody's totally satisfied. What happened in the meeting? Can you describe what happened in the meeting that leads to this result? And the more you describe what happened in the meeting, the more I can become aware that you actually know exactly what you want. And then the next question would be, what can you do to prepare this? Now, one of the traps that some coaches do is say, suppose you just came out of the meeting and it ran exactly the way you want. How do you feel? And the client will say, I feel very good, but I don't know what I did.
And it stops there.
So it's a feeling dimension, doesn't give you the structure, the content of what happened or what needs to happen that is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like helping a client go into their project dimension and really defining the outcome of the project.
Yeah.
In other words, it's like projecting forward, or what we call visioning when you do this in larger organization. It's really defining the end result clearly with a hypothesis. You're there. What's the end result? How is it perfect?
Yeah.
The same thing can be done in a much longer time span. This is time projection. Saying, okay, suppose you're having your retirement party. Yeah. Who's making speeches? What are they saying? Who's not there? What are your parents saying? Because they're still there and they can participate in this. What are your friends saying? What are your children saying about the success in your career? After all these speeches, actually, you go out on the balcony and spend some time with yourself. What you say was beautiful about your career.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And have you make an inventory of the finished career. And when you've really been there, I can come back to today and say, okay, you wanted to work on the next step to go in that direction. What do you feel is your best decision today? Yeah, so it's setting the hypothesis and then coming back to today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different examples of hypothetical questions. Now there's another category of powerful questions which could be focused on your strengths and your own qualities or resources. One is kind of like a time span. I could say, did this type of situation ever happen to you before? Or have you ever been in this kind of situation before?
Mm-hmm.
And if you say yes, I say, okay, don't explain it, but what did you do at the time that helped you solve it? And if you say, it was a real mess, I don't want to repeat this. Oh, so what have you learned from this mess that you don't want to repeat? In other words, you've got resources from the past that you can inventory and decisions or strategies you know you don't want to repeat or you can repeat. And then I'll say, okay, so you know what to do. How can you start with those strategies that you have from your past experience today? So it's, again, a hypothetical question, but it's focused on accessing your resources.
Yeah.
So it's a mix. Now I could be more resource-oriented by saying, what are the resources or the qualities that you have that all your friends know you have? You know, give me 3. And there I'll help you explore them and define them. And then I'll say, okay, how can you use these qualities in your present situation? Or I can say, if I feel that you may need to reinforce your own self-confidence, I could say, what are the 3 qualities you have, you know you have, and you'll never admit to anybody, but you can do it to me. And those are really good qualities that you hide. You know, what are they? And then say, okay, you know you have this.
Mm-hmm.
I could even say, you don't even have to tell me, but number them on your fingers. You know? And then say, these are qualities you know you have. How can you use each in this present situation? Mm-hmm. Or I could name a quality I see you have. For instance, how can you use your legendary creativity or feminine intuition in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I recognize this quality, or your resiliency. You're very resilient. How could you use this in this situation? You know you have that. So I can name a quality I know the client has. I can ask the client to name their qualities, or I can ask the client to name the qualities their friends or environment know you have as a client.
Mm-hmm.
And that is first, making an inventory. and then saying how can you use it in this situation. So that's another category, I would say, focused on qualities. There's other quality categories focused on energy. For instance, I could say, what do you really, really want? In other words, I have the feeling you're working on something on a sort of superficial level or on a practical level, but what do you really, really want? And that question can be very different. I could say, what do you really, really want? Because I feel you're doing something other people want. Or what do you really want? Because I don't think it's really what you want. Or what do you really, really want? So I may underline different words. And doing this, I'm actually showing that, explaining that the coaching is a very linguistic approach. Every single word and emphasis you put on the word will make a powerful question or not. And they could say, what do you really want? It's kind of a drab question. You may not take it seriously. But if I say, what do you really want? In other words, there's almost a theatrical dimension. But it's to put the power in your question. It makes a powerful question. You don't put the power in the question. You don't even believe the question. The client's not going to believe it. So how do you pull the client onto the scene of what they want to do? And that's, the whole linguistic dimension. To get back to categories, there's also categories of what paradoxical questions, which are. I like paradox. You like them too?
Yeah, they're my favorite.
I like them because they're good questions to use with people that are linear or controlling or too methodical. So it's a way of sometimes putting a mess or putting more complexity.
Put a life in it.
Put life into it, or put fun somewhere. So if a client says, well, I hesitate between option A that is good because of this, but I don't like because of that, and option B, which is good because of this, and I don't like because of that, and I'm kind of stuck, it's a binary type of situation. I could say it sounds like your two options have a common denominator. What could be a completely different denominator? What could be the opposite of both? Or you're talking about two sides of the same coin. What if you chose another coin that had two sides too? Suddenly the client is going to say, where is this going? Well, I don't know. But I'm just serving a question that's going to suddenly change the game. You sound like you're playing heads or tails. What if you had a dice that had 6 sides?
That's a good one,
What would be the 6 sides to your situation? 6 options. Because life is rolling dice more than flipping coins. Which is a completely different way of looking. Somebody who's binary is going to say, wow, I'm not looking at the complexity of it. How can I expand? And it's fun. It's challenging synapses in a way. So that's the definition of powerful questions. In a way, they're completely disrupting known synapses. So obviously to do this with a client, you have to know how to do it yourself as a coach, is playing with your synapses all the time.
So it's a very serious playing.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it's a linguistic approach, and you can influence a lot through questions. It's a whole strategy. One question could be powerful enough for a whole coaching session.
Sometimes the client even works with it after the session.
Many times the work continues.
So you're just opening a little hole, and then gradually the work expands this hole. And
you let it simmer.
That's
the beauty of it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.